Have you ever felt like you know you're gifted, but you're not quite sure what to do with it? Or maybe you've been sitting on something God gave you wondering, is this really important? Let me remind you of something powerful. Romans chapter 12, verse 6 says, we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. And so that means that your gift is not random, it's not accidental, and most importantly, your gift was never, ever, ever meant to sit unused. One of the biggest misconceptions that I see, especially among Christian women, is that we think our gifts have to look spiritual or dramatic to matter. We think if I'm not running a business, if I'm not leading a ministry, or if I'm not doing something big and visible, then it must not be a real gift. But that's not what scripture teaches. Your gifts show up in the most natural ways. It's the thing that you do effortlessly, the thing that people come to you for. Maybe your gift is teaching, encouraging, writing, organizing, leading, listening, creating. And here's the key. Your gift might be something people consistently thank you for. And I really want you to think about that. What are people saying to you over and over again? Okay. Oh, you explain that so well. You always know how to encourage me. Or I don't know how you do it. You are just so organized. I wish I could be like you when it comes to organization, or you help me see that differently. That's not a coincidence, my friends. That is a clue. And here's where many women get stuck. They dismiss their gift because it feels too easy. But the reason it feels easy is because God designed it that way. So let's break this down with scripture. So, for example, teaching. Romans chapter 12, verse 7 says, if it is teaching, then teach. So in the Bible, we see Priscilla teaching alongside her husband. In Acts chapter 18, verse 26, it says, Priscilla and Aquila explained to Apollos the way of God more adequately. She didn't need a platform to teach. She used her gift right where she was. Encouraging. Romans chapter 12, verse 8 says, if it is to encourage, then give encouragement. So let's look at Barnabas. He was known for uplifting others and believing in people when others didn't. Your encouragement could be the very thing that keeps someone going. Writing. Think about Apostle Paul. My goodness. He wrote the letters that became a major part of the New Testament. In Habakkuk 2, verse 2, it says, write the vision and make it plain. Your words have power. They can teach, they can heal, and they can guide. One of these examples, writing has been something that's been on my mind a lot lately. So, I have the book, How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right. You can check that out. And I'm in the process of writing another book. And I also am working on an idea for a short film / documentary. So again, writing is something that I have been really, really, using my gift for, because I know it's going to help out a lot of people. And so, in the event that you are, I don't know what to do, start writing. I feel like that's one of the gifts that a lot of us think we don't possess, but that's because we've never really taken the time to develop it. I really feel like deep down inside, everyone's got a book inside of them. Everyone has some sort of short story. So I really want you to take time to think about the writing as a possible gift, especially if some of the ones that I share with you today don't necessarily resonate with you. Please explore the writing, okay? Then we have organizing. So in the Bible, we see Moses overwhelmed until structure was introduced. So in Exodus chapter 18, verse 21, it says, select capable men and appoint them as officials. So organization is not just admin work, people. It creates order so God's work can flow. Then we have leading. Romans 12:8 says, if it is to lead, do it diligently. So let's look at Deborah. She led with courage, wisdom, and authority. Leadership is not about a title. It's about obedience and responsibility. And then we have listening. James chapter 1, verse 19 says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak. So let's consider Samuel in this example. He responded, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. And that's 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 10. Listening is a gift, especially in a noisy world. And then we have creating. God anointed Bezalel with creativity. Exodus chapter 31, verses 3 through 5 says, I have filled him with the Spirit of God and with all kinds of skills. So creativity is not random, it's spirit filled. Okay, so now let's take this a step further because identifying your gift is one thing, but turning it into impact is another. So here's a question that I want you to sit with. Where do my gifts intersect with people's needs? That intersection is often where your calling lives. Let me say that again. Your calling is not just about what you're good at, it's actually about who you're called to serve. So I want you to ask yourself, who benefits from what I naturally do well? What problems can I solve? Who is already being impacted by my gift, even if it's in small ways? Because impact doesn't start with a platform, it starts with obedience, right? It starts with using what you already have where you already are. And so I want you to take a moment and reflect on what comes naturally to me. What do people thank me for? Where have I already made a difference without even trying? And I want you to write it down, pray over it, because God is not hiding your calling from you. He's been revealing it to you all along through your gifts. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about something critical. Why faith and action must work together. Because having a gift is one thing, but walking it out is another. So if you're ready to turn your gifts into content, purpose, and impact, check out the resources below because your gift isn't just for you. It's meant to serve others. If this episode resonated with you, please be sure to join our email community for more faith-based content. And remember, if you're everything to everyone, then you risk being no one. You never know who you will inspire. See you in the next video. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, God, I thought I'd be farther along than this? Maybe you're single, maybe you're rebuilding, maybe life hasn't gone the way you planned. Let me remind you of a truth most people won't say out loud. Your life does not start when a relationship begins, your purpose doesn't wait on a ring, and your calling doesn't need permission from anyone but God. And that's exactly why I wrote How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right. This isn't another book telling you to sit still and wait. It's a roadmap for becoming the woman God created you to be. In your joy, in your purpose, in your gifts, in your confidence. Inside, you're going to learn how to hear God's voice above the noise, build a life that excites you, break free from comparison and timelines, and walk boldly, knowing you are already whole. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are becoming. Grab your copy today and let's build the extraordinary life God designed for you.